Hello, beautiful people. It is amazing to be back with you here on the live. I am sincerely excited to be able to join you today on July 11th at the time of this LinkedIn Live because today is Prime Day. Today is Prime Day, and for those of us who are LinkedIn aligned, Prime Day is on another platform. It's on another platform, but it's on Amazon, Amazon Prime. And the reason why I'm excited is because Salary Power Moves Winning the Compensation Negotiation, which is available on Amazon, is also available today for just $9.99. So I needed to shout that out. Prime Day is today and tomorrow, July 11th and 12th. And as a result, my team was like, well, what are you doing? Like, how are you not going to take advantage of it being Prime Day and letting the people get access to you for Prime Day? So it is Prime Day. You can grab a copy of Salary Power Moves Winning the Compensation Negotiation directly into your Amazon cart for just $9.99 today. And I wanted to make sure that I said that out loud because I often forget, y'all. And I'm telling you, I get on these LinkedIn Lives and we end up having a great time. The dialogue is fantastic. It's fire. We're learning so much. And then my team, I get off and then my team is like, but you didn't do this and you didn't say that. And you said all these things, and that's great. And we're happy you said those things, but you didn't say the thing that we needed you to say today. So please do take advantage of that opportunity today. And for those of us who are available and joining live, I would love for you to drop your city in the chat. As you drop your city in the chat and we get an opportunity to shout folks out and make sure that they are feeling dialed into the content and having a great experience with us here on the live. And even those who are listening on the replay, please do drop your city in the chat so that we can shout you out and acknowledge those who are participating and really getting this content. I wanted to make sure that I got on today and talked about not only Prime Day, which I just mentioned, check, and I'm looking at my notes. And then second, we've been having a really great conversation off platform, off of LinkedIn. And that has only been possible because folks have been taking advantage of the opportunity and joining our mailing list. So Gems for the Journey has a mailing list. That mailing list really does allow folks to get personalized career content directly into their inbox. So if you go to gemsforthejourney.org/promo gems, you will have the opportunity to join our mailing list, and then you can be a part of a dialogue that's happening off platform. And it allows us to have a really robust and thoughtful conversation that provides intentional career resources directly into your inbox. So we have been excited to promote that and excited to get folks the opportunity to get this content directly into their inbox because we have so many amazing things that are happening. One is the free course. We have a free course that is your next step to career success. Taking the next step to career success is something that gets discussed all the time, I feel like, on lots of different platforms, but there isn't always a rhyme or reason to be able to do it. I see folks doing a lot of really excellent works on career strategy sessions and how to build out a career map. And this course helps to feed into some of that really thoughtful, strategic approach for how to navigate career. So I want you to have it. I want you to have it, but it only works if you join the mailing list. So please do go ahead and take advantage of that. So we have been talking the last couple of weeks about a couple of things that have felt very spicy. Last week, we took the week off because it was the July 4th holiday in the US. So I took those days off. I don't really spend a lot of time focusing on July 4th. We have an annual way that we try to celebrate and think about Juneteenth and really incorporate that into the work that my team and I do. So taking the opportunity to just relax on July 4th and even July 3rd this year was such a game changer for me. You know, that 4-day weekend energy is just unreplaceable sometimes. Like it crept up on me. I didn't really have any plans. I didn't really have anything lined up to do. And then it arrived and I took the opportunity to rest. So I actually wanted to shout out The Great Exhale. The Great Exhale is a platform that is being built through connections and a launch that happened on LinkedIn. And the reason why I wanted to shout them out is because Elizabeth Leiba also wrote the book, I Am Not Yelling. And that book has guided so many of the very important discussions that I think are going to happen now as well as continue to happen for professionals in the workplace. That book specifically speaks to the Black woman's experience in corporate America, but it ties to what we've been talking about here, which really, really aligns to this idea of how do we become more audacious? How do we support ourselves? How do we advocate for ourselves so that being audacious and asking for what we think is important in our career, and also saying no to the things that don't work for us in our career, right? And that's the part that we haven't talked about yet. So we're going to get into that a little bit today. The saying no to things that don't work for us, saying things that don't serve us in our career. And there was a really great discussion that I had on a recent episode of the Career Gems for the Journey podcast, and you guys will be able to take advantage of that. Head over to wherever you get your podcast and tap into the Career Gems for the Journey podcast. It is a repository of so much dense, amazing career content. And also, we talk about career. We talk a little bit about life and that career and life integration. We also talk about how relationships and how our personal and professional relationships really help to drive us to be more successful in our careers in the version of success that we desire, right? So I want you to take advantage of that. So I had a great conversation on the Career Gems for the Journey podcast, and it pushed, I mean, when I say it absolutely pushed me to think completely differently about the way that I am working and about the way that I am showing up in my professional life. And then how I continue to coach my clients. So many of you will know that I am an executive coach, and at Career Gems for the Journey, we also do the work to bring team building services and resources and professional development services to professionals in corporations, in nonprofits, in academia, right? And it really comes down to, do we feel like we have the ability to be audacious? And a lot of times the question comes up, what do you need to be more audacious? I think audacity as itself should be something we should be able to like sprinkle in our coffee in the morning. I'd like a little bit more audacity today, a little bit more than I had yesterday. And, there's days where I want to spice it all the way up, take me to a 10. And there's days where I just, I'm looking to cruise and coast and take it easy. And maybe audacity isn't necessary for the things that I have to do. So we'll put that at a 1. But it comes, for me, audacity is a product of feeling like we have the ability to take what works for us well in life, and then also to opt out of the things that don't fit, that are not aligned to what we want to do or the version of ourselves that we want to serve. So when that comes down to career, it comes down to saying no to some things. And saying no is something that I find a lot of us struggle with. So I want to talk a little bit more about what saying no does and how it can allow you to be better. But at the same time, I want to talk about that fear that comes along with saying no. So I got a couple questions for folks that said, one of the questions that I'm paraphrasing was, I don't feel like I can be audacious in my career and a lot of times ask for what I want because I don't feel like I have the confidence to show up in that way. And I hear that. I hear that often. We talk a lot about how humility can harm our ability to grow and to thrive, because humility can put us in a position where we're overworked, underpaid, and undervalued. And when I think about feeling confident in a lot of those spaces, some of it is we've been conditioned by a system that kind of teaches us, don't ask for anything more, show up and be very attentive and very grateful for what already exists. And I believe that gratitude and humility can operate separately. So first, let's decouple that. Gratitude can exist. You can be grateful for what you have. You can be excited for the next opportunity. You can wake up every day and experience a level of gratitude for the life that you have and still desire more, or still desire something that's different, or still desire something that is even bigger than what you have today. And I wanted to make sure that I said that out loud, because a lot of times people have this perception of, if I'm grateful for what I have, then that doesn't mean that I continue to pursue more. Or if I'm grateful for what I have, then when I am talking to other people about wanting more, that makes me sound overly ambitious. And because I'm overly ambitious, that could turn people off. Because I'm overly ambitious, then people could think that I'm a climber, And it doesn't necessarily mean that I am going to deliver at this level where I am in life or where I am in the organization. And I'm just here to tell you, you can be both. It is very important that we think of ourselves as capable as being both, of being grateful for what we have, but also being able to aspire to more if that's what we aspire to. If that new level of success, if that new dimension is what's motivating us and driving us forward, and we're okay with that, and that's in alignment with our personal and professional life and the version of ourselves that we want to be, it is completely okay to continue to aspire for more. It's also okay to aspire to do less. It is okay to aspire to do less. I have so many clients now that are navigating this very transitional kind of fork in the road where they are powerhouse, influential, award winning, nominated for all kinds of boards and formal positions, compensated well, working for large organizations. Just amazing, talented women and men. And then they have to make a decision to say, this next great opportunity, do I want to pursue that next great opportunity or do I want to not? And I love that those options can be considered now. I don't know that those options were available to previous generations. It was assuming that you had to continue to pursue and to climb. And a lot of times that had a direct impact on our well-being or potentially our mental health. So I love that now you have this ability, now more than ever, I would say, as a generation, to think through, do I want to continue to pursue this level of ambition and intention that causes me to pursue things out in the world, whether it's in corporate, whether it's in academia, whether it's in nonprofit leadership, or am I ready to transition into a work experience or a work environment that doesn't require that as much of me on a consistent basis? Because I've been ambitious for a really long time and now I want to pursue something else. So I love that we have that option. I also want to make sure that folks think through, when you say no to things, that don't serve your overall desires, ambition, long-term goals, it enables you to say yes to the things that will drive you to that place, that will get you the opportunities that you're looking for. I feel like a lot of times, I'm personally a woman of faith. So when I think about the things that I say no to, I am saying, I want to keep my space and my capacity available for the things that are really aligned to the purpose and the work that I'm doing. Now, that's not always easy, right? Like, I've heard a lot of people say, like, just say no, it doesn't matter, and move on, and say no, it doesn't. It feels awkward. It hurts a little bit. It's uncomfortable, right? But saying no because you have aligned to something else that is more impactful and more aligned to what you want long term will feel like a sting at that moment, potentially for a lot of us. But when we get to the other side and we see what we were able to do because we said no to something that didn't align for us, the potential is so abundant. So I want to give you an example. When I think about some things that I did early on in my career, and this one will feel probably aligned or probably an example that folks feel familiar with, there is a lot of non-promotable tasks that are asked of many of us. And I hear that happening in corporate America all the time. So what is a non-promotable task? What does that look like? Non-promotable tasks are things that are not tied to your objectives, and there are things that are not being measured intentionally by the organization. So if you work in an organization that has objectives, and I know a lot of the larger companies do, some smaller companies may not have a full objective creating cycle or process, but there are things that you're accountable for every year that you have to deliver to the business. When you have things you have to deliver to the business, those things are objectives oftentimes. And when you deliver against your objectives, then the assessment is you're a good performer, you're a solid performer. Those things that are on that objective list, I try to really encourage my clients to think of them as, how do I make small steps towards each one of my objectives every month? So that every month I see progress towards the objective, and that by the time I get to Q3, I'm confident that the objective is either going to be met, or I can make sure that I am asking for the right additional help or resources in order to meet the objective if it is at risk, right? But making small steps towards it, very important. Those objectives should drive your year. When you have things that are not on your written objective that get asked of you at work, for example, planning coworker birthday parties, non-promotable task. Planning events for intern lunches or maybe social events, non-promotable task. Sometimes in organizations, leading employee resource groups or participating in employee resource groups, often non-promotable tasks. Or even take it a step further, doing work on one-off projects that are led or driven by another function altogether that don't make it back to your objectives. Non-promotable tasks. So these are things that can take up time and they can feel good, they can be exciting, they can be community building, but they're non-promotable tasks when it comes down to you and your manager having a discussion about your objectives. So for me, I actually did many of the things that I just told you. I did them. I led ERGs. I worked directly with interns. I would go on recruiting events. I would travel for recruiting events. I would give all of this time and energy to interviewing talent and to be really excited about bringing new talent into the organization. And I had to do that all in addition to my day job. None of my objectives got adjusted. None of my objectives got modified. None of my objectives got changed while I was doing these other things. It was in addition to. So eventually I started to feel like, man, I have a full-time job that I'm doing that is tied to my objectives. And then I also have a job that I'm doing off hours at night, sometimes on the weekends, in order to keep pace with my full-time job. And that started to distract me, candidly. And though I enjoyed some of the elements of it, it started to distract me, and I wasn't prepared to be distracted from the objective driving work. So I had to start to say no to some of those non-promotable tasks so that I could really focus that energy on delivering against my objectives, exceeding my objectives, and then being considered for additional roles that affected my compensation, that allowed me to get promoted, you name it. So when I say saying no to some of those things, some of those non-promotable tasks can be the difference between the version of success that you desire for yourself and not achieving it because you don't have the time, the energy, or the bandwidth to be able to do it. So I try to encourage folks to think about, if you want to do some of those additional things, think about it as, if this is going to require additional time, effort, and energy that is going to take away from my day job, how am I going to fill that gap? Because if you don't fill the gap, then the conversation has to be had with your leadership to say, can I add these things as a core objective, as something that I have to deliver in order to be successful at the end of the year? And can I adjust my time, right, to be able to incorporate these non-promotable tasks? If the answer is no, then you have a decision to make. You have to decide, am I going to do it, or am I going to focus on my objectives? And then you can still do those things that are non-promotable tasks outside of work on your free time as you decide, right? As you choose, but without the obligation and certainly without the conflict and the tension that it may cause in your day job. So saying no to those kinds of things can be a huge difference maker. And it may feel uncomfortable, and some folks may be disappointed because you might be really good at those things and you might really enjoy it. The risk, though, is that it doesn't get appropriately acknowledged at your organization, and then you've done the work, it's not acknowledged, your actual objectives suffer, and now you're deemed a not exceptional performer or a mediocre performer even. And now you got a mediocre performance record, and now you want to ask for additional compensation, or you want to be able to get promoted, and you can't because your performance record doesn't reflect it. Even though a lot of times in the organization, people will pat you on the back and tell you you did such a great job in these non-promotable tasks, and then they won't promote you. And I'm laughing at it because it's like, this is completely counterintuitive. If it's something that is not valuable to the organization, why would leadership pat me on the back and tell me I'm doing a great job? You have to make the decision as the individual. You can do those things and enjoy them if it does not have any impact on you doing your day job, and if it doesn't have any impact on your overall well-being. It's a choice, right? It's an opportunity to think through, does this align with what I want to do, where I want to go, or do I need to say no to that? So that's going to feel a little bit harsh. It's going to feel harsh, and I'm only telling you from someone who's lived through it and have a number of clients who have also lived through it. It requires you to make some difficult choices. And I don't think they're difficult. I think giving your free time to an organization is up to you. I think giving your free time to yourself to take care of your well-being and take care of your loved ones and the life that you desire for yourself, I think that is a better investment, especially in this season of a lot of folks for career, and knowing everything that's going on in the world right now. Taking that time to take care of your well-being is just so fundamentally important. So it will feel audacious, right? It will feel audacious for someone to approach you. Hey, this could be a great opportunity. Could you help me with this? And for you to say, no, it just doesn't align for me right now. So that's one polite way to say no. It doesn't really align with my objectives right now. I would love to support you, but now is just not the right time. For the most part, people will 100% understand. Another, way to say no, right? Because I love to play with this, because no can feel like conflict for people. And I want to talk about conflict the next time that we're together on LinkedIn Live. But no can feel like conflict to people. So another way to say it is, as I think about what my key priorities are at the moment, I'm at capacity. I'm at capacity right now, so I can't help with this thing. But, let's take an opportunity to revisit in 6 months, if that makes you feel better. Because when you communicate that you are at capacity, then it allows you to then decide, how do I divvy up that capacity to the things that are most important? That doesn't mean that I expand my capacity to take on new things. So those are my 2 fun ways to say no. 2 fun ways to say no. And that allows me to make space for the things that are key priorities, that are things that I want to work on, that are things that are aligned, that are things that will leverage the best version of myself and my skills to show up in ways that are exciting and fulfilling and gratifying, and allow me to do work that I am motivated by, that I enjoy. And I really thought it was important for us to talk about the opportunity to say no. Feels like a privilege in a lot of scenarios. To say no and that it's not a fit feels like a privilege. So I think if you think about where you say no to, and non-promotable tasks being one of them, that you just, maintain a clear path. Those are not the things that I'm focused on. I'm really dialing in on my objectives. It allows folks to be able to respect that. And it also allows you to then move on and spend your time and energy in ways that are going to be fruitful for you. So think about that as we think about audacity, and we think about how do we really show up in the workplace. The next time we connect, we're going to talk about conflict, because we're also going to talk about our authentic selves. And it's been talked about a lot now. And how do we show up, bring your authentic self to work, all of those things. I have a contrary opinion on that. And I want to kind of give you a little seed now, just a little nugget. I think that we could benefit from more professional workplaces. I think that we could benefit from workplaces that protect the ability to act and behave as professionals and treat it like work, so that we have these other interactions and relationships outside of work that feed us and that deserve, that have earned our most authentic self. So I want to really encourage us to think about, how do we allow work to stay work in a lot of situations, and allow work to be a professional environment. And then we find these connection points and these other relationships and these other ways of interacting outside of work to create balance in our lives. And we also are allowed to vet those spaces to see if those spaces can accept and celebrate and will allow the most authentic version of us to show up in those spaces. And then those spaces feel like they are psychologically safe. We feel like we have healthy relationships and interactions, and so on and so forth. And we can build upon that. So this was an amazing LinkedIn Live. I absolutely feel great being on, being able to have these conversations on this platform. Thank you so much for joining us live. Take advantage of the Prime Day promotion today. You can grab a copy of Salary Power Moves, Winning the Compensation Negotiation, today and tomorrow for Prime Day for just $9.99. You can grab it in your cart. The link below here is for our email list. You can take advantage of our email list and take advantage of getting free content that is directly emailed into your inbox. I want you to take advantage of that. And then Salary Power Moves, as you see on the bottom of the screen, if you're looking at us live, is available on Amazon Prime. Take advantage, scan the QR code. You can jump in there and get one of those. It is also on our cover photo. So listen, no excuses. We are making sure that you get all the things and that your Prime Day is fruitful and exciting and also incorporates a healthy dose of learning how to negotiate for better compensation as we continue to be on a mission to help 10,000 women learn how to negotiate for additional compensation. It has been amazing being with you. We will be back here next Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now we're at our new time. We're going to ride this out through the end of the year. We'll see what you guys say about it, see what the feedback is. And it was great to be with us. Great to be with you today. And I'm looking forward to connecting with you next Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time here on LinkedIn Live.